It's important to study heredity because it allows us to understand basic core parts of biology. Why do organisms look like their parents? How do organisms adapt to their environment? In addition to being interesting, heredity has been important for humans throughout our entire evolution. We've used aspects of heredity without understanding them to make better crops. We've made better apples, we've made corn, we've made wheat. Recently, we have used techniques in genetics to make rice resistant to drought, therefore increasing the opportunities for us to prevent food shortages. So throughout human development, we have used the tools that are heredity to make our lives better. Heredity is the process by which parents, whether they be humans or peas, pass on their genetic information to their offspring. And this really answers the question about why offspring look like their parents. So for example, if your parents have blue eyes, you tend to have blue eyes as well. A lot of our understanding of genetics, at least our understanding of modern genetics, comes from the work in the 1860s of a monk called Gregor Mendel. Gregor Mendel, working in his garden using pea plants, discovered a lot of the rules that govern the inheritance and our understanding of how genes are passed on from one generation to another. What Mendel discovered using simple organisms and simple traits such as pea color is that parents pass on a single copy of a gene to their offspring so that an offspring has 2 copies of a gene, one from each parent. Genes are discrete units of information. Genes often make proteins, and proteins are some of the basic blocks in a cell. We now know that these genes are made up of DNA. We also now understand that within a cell, genes are organized into very large DNA molecules called chromosomes, each chromosome containing thousands of genes. Individuals get 1 chromosome and 1 copy of every gene from one parent, and a second copy of their chromosomes and their gene from their other parent. So each person has 2 copies of each gene. These 2 copies are called alleles. These alleles may not be identical, so that the one from the father and the one from the mother may not be exactly the same copies of the gene. In Mendel's garden, he discovered that pea plants have different colors of peas. This trait of pea color was due to different alleles of a single gene. So there was 1 allele for a yellow pea and 1 allele for a green pea, so that an organism could have 2 copies of the yellow allele, 2 copies of the green allele, or 1 copy of the green allele and 1 copy of the yellow allele. If the pea received 2 of the yellow alleles, the pea was yellow. If the pea received 1 allele that was yellow and 1 allele that was green, the pea was still yellow, meaning that yellow is dominant and green is recessive. The pea was only green if it received 2 copies of the green allele, 1 from each parent. This combination of the genes and the alleles is the genotype of the pea. The phenotype is the observed trait, in this case, the color of the pea, yellow or green. Mendelian traits are simple traits that are governed by a single gene. There are very few examples of these in humans. In plants, Mendel originally discovered that traits such as the color of a pea is determined by a single gene, and so therefore pea color is a Mendelian trait. A multifactorial trait is a trait that is controlled by many different forms of many different genes plus environmental influences. In humans, things such as height, certain inherited cancers are multifactorial.